If you're someone who had an accident with your wrist and you needed to have surgery, I'm going to be discussing what you need to do and what you need to expect before, during, and after a wrist surgery. My name is Huang. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist, and there's a lot of different wrist injuries that require surgery. Some don't require surgery and some require surgery. So I'm just going to share with you a few of those topics and kind of what to expect, right? I'm not going to go into a ton of details. If you want more detail on a particular wrist injury, just feel free to leave me a comment below. I cannot provide personalized medical advice. I've been getting a lot of that commentary and questions under my videos, which thank you so much for watching, and I'm glad that it's helping you. But I just, like, from a medical standpoint, this is just for educational purposes, and I would highly encourage you, if you're somebody who had surgery, please seek out an occupational therapist or a certified hand therapist, someone who specializes in providing therapy after a surgery like this. There's a lot of variations to it. There can be a lot of complications. As a certified hand therapist, we tend to see the complicated ones. But I just want to share with you, what to expect. I teach quite a bit, so I'm always handy dandy with my markers so I can draw. So the wrist is made up of your forearm bones. So one, you have a radius bone right here. This is a very common fracture. This tends to, anyone who falls on an outstretched hand can break this bone. This can happen to anyone at any age. One of my daughter's friend, she fell and fractured her distal radius like 3 different times. They were concerned that something was wrong with her. She was just a rough and tumble kid, and one of the fractures happened to be at my house, so I had firsthand experience. But this is a very common bone to break. Sometimes this is your ulna, and sometimes you can break this bone as well when you fall different car accidents. I had somebody who was in a motorcycle accident and broke both of these bones. So that is right, it's your forearm bone, but that makes up your wrist. And then we have a row of 8 bones. We have one row down here is 4 bones, and one row on top, another row of bones. There's a total of 8 what they call carpal bones, or wrist bones. One of them is very common. It's called your scaphoid. It sits right underneath your thumb. That one is a very difficult one. So very nuanced, meaning that you can't always see it. There's a different way of treating it. I won't bore you with the details, but if you broke that one, just know I might make a video separately on that one because it can be complicated and you want to kind of pay attention to certain things. And then we have your hand bones, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you break the base of them down here, then that might include your wrist, right? So they might stop your wrist from moving. Anything where it stops your wrist from moving, you can end up with wrist pain, and that's a wrist injury. So one of the most common injuries is to the radius, right? And probably one of the second common ones is to the scaphoid. And you see these bones here. We have something here. It's a soft tissue. It's like a group of ligaments. Let me see. It's a group of ligaments. And this is called your TFCC, right? So this is called your TFCC. And so sometimes you can have injuries that cause you to have surgeries here. And then you might have either fractures or tears in your ligament. Ligaments hold bone and bone together, and it's what gives you stability at your wrist. And when you tear those ligaments, you no longer have stability. And when you don't have stability, you end up with wrist pain. So when it comes to navigating wrist surgeries, what do you do before, during, and after? If you had an injury and you're contemplating a second surgery, just talk to your therapist, talk to your occupational therapist, your certified hand therapist, to know what to expect for that secondary surgery. There are certain things that you can do to ensure that you get the best possible outcome. One of the things that I do with my patients is, if you need a secondary surgery, we try to minimize the pain as much as possible. We get everything that doesn't involve the wrist to move. So when people have injuries to the wrist here, your fingers can get really stiff, they can get really tight, painful, but nothing happened to them. And so it's extremely important to be able to move your fingers the whole way as much as possible, right? So before you have a surgery, during and after, you want to try and move your fingers as much as possible. One of the best exercises that I like to do with my patients is I like to just clasp the hand like this. This is the easiest thing you do. And people are like, but does it work? It does work. And just because you're doing therapy doesn't mean it has to be painful. Therapy doesn't mean it has to be really rough. You know what I mean? Just by placing your fingers in between, what you get to do is you get to stretch the ligaments that are holding these bones together, and then the muscles, we have muscles in between. I know, it's like they're so small. How do you even see them? Because you're comparing yourself to bigger muscles. But we have little itty bitty muscles. If you turn to the side, you can feel them. They're in between your bones, and they sit in here, and they come, and they actually affect how your fingers move. So just by clasping your hands like this can really give you a really nice stretch. This is great for anyone who has really tight, stiff fingers because their wrists had surgery. So that's a really good one. Another thing is just trying to make sure that you move your fingers as much as you possibly can. And that's what we do in therapy. You want to make sure there's a little bit of space in between, but you're going to curl down into what we call a hook fist. So that means you're going to bend your middle knuckle and your little knuckle. This is called a hook fist. And you should be able to do whatever your other hand does, right? Don't compare yourself to me. Compare yourself to the other hand. And I'm sorry if you hurt both hands, then we just should be going to a therapist. Anyway, so this is called a hook fist, and then we can go into what's called a full fist, and that means you're able to tuck your fingers all the way in. This is called a straight fist, and that means that you're going to bend your big knuckle, little knuckle, and then your little ones stay straight. And one of the reasons why these finger exercises are so important is because they help to glide those tendons past your wrist. Now, if you injured your wrist, you need to make sure that those tendons are gliding through your wrist in a way that doesn't hurt, and it allows your wrist to actually loosen up. Now, if you're going to make a fist, make sure that you really focus on opening your fingers nice and wide. When you open your fingers, you're going to move the other tendons that pass on the other side of your wrist, and you need those tendons to move on both sides in order for your wrist to be able to move really well, right? So in terms of what you can do before, during, and after, usually if you didn't hurt your fingers, right, and you didn't hurt this top, anything from here above, you're allowed to move your fingers. And so you should. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I could share with you in terms of navigating what to do before, during, and after a wrist surgery. You want to make sure that you're able to move your fingers as much as possible. Now, don't forget your thumb, okay? You're allowed to move your thumb. So one of the best things that I like to teach my patients to do is what we call opposition in therapy, right? So you want to go nail to nail, right? Thumb to your index finger, nail to nail, and then you want to touch. Don't forget to open, please. I'm a big fan of opening. If you're not opening your fingers, then you're missing half of the exercises and half of the ability for your hands to move well after surgery. Touch, open, touch, open, touch, open. And these should be relatively easy. It's just to make sure that you're gliding. If you had surgery, your therapist will be able to help you advance yourself through, because if it's easy, you need to move on to another one. I will say that if you have a fracture or anything to that scaphoid where they're telling you you can't move your thumb, it's just that scaphoid, then that means you shouldn't do that exercise. But pretty much for every other wrist injury, like a radius fracture, you're gonna feel that your thumb it's very hard to move. And it's very hard to move because the tendons of your thumb pass where it's broken. It doesn't mean you're not allowed to move it. You're allowed to move it. It's just going to be kind of hard. And so this is why after surgery, videos like this are just to help you, educate you. But really, honestly, please find a trusted occupational therapist, certified hand therapist to help you, because you want to be able to progress, right? So these are just some exercises, very simple to do, that's going to help you. If you get your fingers moving better, faster at the beginning, then when you go to move your wrist with your therapist and as you advance through, it's just going to make your recovery process that much smoother and that much easier, right? Usually, I mean, because there's so many different injuries that can happen here, if you break a bone, if you break your radius, if you break your ulna, if you break any of these what they call metacarpal bones in your hand at the base near your wrist, those bones heal within 4 to 6 weeks. Now, technically speaking, you can start therapy within 5 to 7 days after your surgery. So don't delay. I'm a big fan of starting your therapy early so that you can get movement. If you can't move your wrist part yet, you can at least work with your therapist to move your fingers and your thumb. And then there's other things that you can move: your shoulder, you can move your elbow, and then you can also move what we call your forearm. So you want to be able to turn your palm up and down if you've broken a bone. Now, if you injure a ligament, that's a little bit more, you're going to go a little bit slower, so don't be so worried about it. Ligaments hold bone and bone together, and so they need a little bit extra time to get solidified, right? Scar down and give you that stability. So you might not be able to move for 6 weeks, sometimes 4 to 6, depending on where. Sometimes you might need a little bit longer, but that's where you, as somebody who's been injured, you really need to know what is going on with your wrist, the name of the injury, the name of the surgery, and then talk to your therapist about the protocol, like what's the best protocol to get you moving based on your goals, right? So as a hand therapist, a certified hand therapist, I work with people of all ages. So I could work with kids, I can work with adults, I can work with someone who's much older. And those people are going to have different expectations. If I work with an athlete, their expectations are going to be different too. How I progress them, what they're allowed to do, and then what I'm helping to return them to can be a little bit different. So it might sound the same, but how you progress might just look a little bit differently depending on your needs. So it's really important for you with the injury to know what's going on, to know what part is injured, just have a better understanding what's going on, okay? So that's what I would, if you were my patient coming into my clinic, this is what I do to educate my patients. Really know what's going on. If it's your wrist, make sure you're moving everything else. So I get them moving, as soon as possible. If I'm working with surgeons, I like to encourage them to send their patients to us, 5 to 7 days. When I worked with a hand surgeon, I used to take down all his post-op dressings, teach them how to wash their wounds, right? You're going to have incisions. So we would keep them clean and dry, but we would teach them how to wash it. By 2 weeks, you should be able to wash it. It should be closed, barring any kind of, wounds and stuff like that, big incisions that open up. Some people have more open wounds. Some people, they cut you and then you have a little incision right here. If you have a little incision right here, they close you up, you have stitches. You actually can wash that, right? By 7 days, by 5 to 7 days, everything should be closing. And with my patients, I use normal saline and I wash. I keep the wound clean, I keep it dry, and I teach them so that they are looking for signs and symptoms of infection so that there are none. One, to make sure that they're not worried about it, but two, to know when there is something wrong, to know what to do, right? Because if you can spot an infection, you can get on antibiotics right away, and that won't really slow your progress down as much, right? So make sure your fingers and thumb are moving, whatever is moving beforehand. Make sure the wound is clean, healing well, and then depending on what exactly is going on, you can actually start moving your wrists right away. Nothing crazy. We start with active range of motion. So the natural attitude of your hand, so follow along. You can do this yourself, right? Just relax your elbow on a table. If you relax your wrist all the way down, the natural attitude of your finger is to just open, right? And then if you go and you push that wrist all the way back, relaxing your fingers, the natural attitude of your hand is to have your fingers curled in. So when you have a wrist injury, you want to use what we call a tenodesis to your advantage. If your wrist is down, you can work to open your fingers. If your wrist is back a little bit, you can work to make a fist. If your wrist is down and then you're trying to make a fist, you are making it so much harder for yourself. So knowing what to pay attention to, how to pay attention to it, is going to be key in terms of helping you have a better recovery that's smoother, that's less complicated, that is less painful. So those are some tips that I always share with my patients, especially on the first, second visits. But I hope that this helps you if you're navigating a wrist surgery before, during, and after, right? Work with someone who specializes in the type of injury you've had so you can have a better and faster recovery instead of being worried, being at risk for a secondary surgery, because sometimes that can happen. If you get stuck, you end up needing a second surgery. I always tell my patients when they come in and their fingers are really stiff, that's the first thing I move, because I'm like, you didn't have surgery for your fingers, but if they get stuck, you're going to need surgery for your fingers. So let's get moving fast. So I always move my patients' fingers fast. And once that's good, then I make sure that we're moving along with the wrist. There is a timeline to it, and it just depends on your injury and your surgery. So talk to a trusted therapist. I am personally located in Miami, Florida. My clinic is Hands-On Therapy Services. And if you're someone in this area and you need my help, all the links are below. If you need a consultation, my link's below too. If you need my help, just let me know. Your comments and your questions allow me to know what you're looking for and create videos for people with these type of injuries. So feel free to leave me a comment and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. All right. Thanks so much.